What is going on, Broncos country? We're back with another live episode of Horsepower Hour, the best podcast out there that isn't on podcast apps yet, but it will be here soon. Of course, guys, I'm joined by my friends Kodiak, Jeremy, and Mark. Everybody in the chat, we got a lot to talk about today, so please be active, leave a like, subscribe, and we're on our way to world domination in Broncos country. So with that out of the way, with the housekeeping done, let's get to the top pieces of news we have, and I want to get y'all's opinion on this. We've had like 16 guys waived. So we have Andrew Farmer, Joaquin Davis, Micah Abraham, Josh Pickett, Clay Webb, Xavier Truss, Michael Dwumfor, Garrett Nelson, Jerwan Newton, Audric Estime, Damari Mathis, Blake Watson, Kyrese Rowan, and Marquez Cox, offensive lineman. Guys, A.T. Perry's still alive. There are a few other guys that are on the roster bubble that have still not been released. So would love to get all of your first takeaways and impressions. We can start with Mark and then kind of work our way around the horn with Jeremy and Kodiak.
Yeah, I would say nothing of surprise. We also got to remember Vele was released. So you adding him. Vele was traded, sorry. So you got to add him in there. I would say nothing really surprised. I mean, maybe some of the timing in terms of when they announced it. I know like Andrew Farmer, Joaquin Davis being so early, they're probably the priority free agents. I thought Clay Webb had a small shot, but doesn't really shock me at this point still. And yeah, I mean, I feel like we all kind of felt that Audric Estime was not going to make the team, but it was almost like I won't believe it until I see it type of a thing. So the fact that they announced that today. And yeah, nothing of big note for me. Damari Mathis, you saved like $3.5 million. So far, this is basically nothing of big surprise to me. Curious to what you guys think.
Mm-hmm. Jeremy,
I always find the timing of the waiving is always interesting to me because they put a couple of them out pretty quickly, and those are guys that we had kind of heard were like maybe like borderline bubble guys, and then all of a sudden they're out the first wave. So I'm like, something's up because I don't know if that's got to be strategic from Sean Payton and George Payton. So I'm going to be interested to see who their priority people are when it comes to practice squad. I think it's really smart because what it does is that why every other team is trying to get their numbers down, they're putting it out there, and then when they are seeing, all these people are released, those aren't amongst the names that are like coming in. Those are already been out there for a little bit. So Mathis, we were wondering, obviously he had been struggling, and the Joaquin Davis one, that's the one I was kind of keeping my eye on. So that's interesting. Now it's going to come down to Courtney Jackson, A.T. Perry, or is it 5 wide receivers? That's what it looks like to me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Real quick before we get to Kodiak, we got to take a moment, laugh at the Raiders. Trading for Kenny Pickett, man. I don't care what they gave up, but fleece. Cleveland fleece.
They traded for Kenny Pickett?
Yeah.
I didn't hear that.
Can you believe that?
What
sixth round pick.
Wow. Okay.
Wow. Can you believe that in the year of 2025, not only on the same day does your leading receiver over the past few years, Jacoby Myers, request a trade, but then you trade assets for Kenny Pickett? Yeah, we can take a minute to laugh at the Raiders.
And they signed, what's his name back, to Amari Cooper.
Oh, yeah.
So that's really going to piss off Jacoby Myers.
Yeah, for real.
Who's the person you should be laughing at? Should you be laughing at the person drafting Kenny Pickett and then trading him for a 6, or should you be, or that it only cost a 6 to get a former first rounder? I mean, I'm not saying Kenny Pickett's the answer or anything, but like that's if you don't have no backup and you don't feel good about it, it's not that much.
I'll say it. You're better off with Sam Ehlinger, baby.
That's true.
Yeah, for real. Sam Ehlinger does have more value than Kenny Pickett. But as far as like all these guys, I can't say I'm surprised at all. Like I know that we were pumping Clay Webb's tires here around the show pretty hard. Some due to football reasons, some not. And ultimately, he just showed that he wasn't going to be a mainstay on this team. Overall, there's just nothing that sticks out. It wouldn't surprise me if they figured out a way to get value for Damari Mathis, but I think Audric Estime, we can comfortably say, is going to clear waivers. We had heard pretty early on that a lot of people did not like what they had seen out of camp from him. So, and I know it goes just beyond Philip Lindsay and all that, but still, anything that we had heard about our Audric Estime this past summer was majority negative. Like ever since the Buffalo game, it's just been all downhill from there. But Blake Watson, that's another one that I get it especially because they got the injury settlement. But, I'm hoping he finds a way to stick around because that'd be pretty nice to have him there. Overall, yeah, no, there's nothing that sticks out to me. Like I know a lot of people early on had Andrew Farmer making their 53. A lot of people, said that, hey, Xavier Truss can make some noise. Ultimately, I think, it looks like these guys, these UDFAs are on the outs for a reason. And yeah, that's just how I feel about everything.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think the only one that I'm somewhat surprised that it came this early was Joaquin Davis. Like you pointed out, Jeremy, I wonder if that's strategic to try and hide him on the practice squad somehow. I think Andrew Farmer, was also reported that he's not expected to be on the practice squad. To me, with how strong of a train camp it sounds like he had, and I think he performed well in the preseason games, he might get picked up or claimed by another team that has a little bit easier of a path to playing time than out here in Denver. So outside of that, I hope we keep the offensive linemen here that were cut for development, Webb and Truss. Sucks to see Damari Mathis go without getting trade comp for him, but hopefully, that's totally not out of the equation yet. And yeah, I'm going to be hoping that Blake Watson is able to stick around on the practice squad and is able to return at some point after he's recovered from this knee strain. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what happens. Now, Eli's bringing up a good question here, and I think that this is one worth discussing. But yeah, do you guys see, Estime getting picked up somewhere? Do you see somebody else that was one of these cuts, going to another team? We'll start with Kodiak and work our way around.
So as far as Estime in particular, I mean, he will find a spot somewhere else, but I can't guarantee that he's going to get a spot on their 53-man roster and or, game day depth chart or whatever. We forget oftentimes that how replaceable the running back position is. It's often one of the deepest in the NFL, even if there's not a ton of game breakers at that position right now. Still a good amount of talent, especially in dudes that have been in buildings since, March, April or whatever. They're going to get first priority at cracking their team's bubble, if you will. Especially at the running back position. So as far as Estime, I think he'll get picked up somewhere, but the odds are still stacked against him. As far as the other guys, I mean, who knows? One thing that really stuck out to me, I don't think anybody has particularly great odds at getting picked up by another team. Maybe Clay Webb because of his, college pedigree or whatever. But yeah, overall, I didn't see any great guy that we waived today that really, really showed out this preseason that teams are going to be okay, we cannot pass the chance to claim him. I thought it was really interesting that we haven't made any linebacker transactions yet. That's another thing I wanted to mention.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Jeremy, any thoughts on where these guys end up?
Yeah, to me, I don't think any of them that we've cut so far are making it onto another 53. If anything, it's going to be another practice squad because they feel like they have a better chance of being promoted to a 53. But I have a feeling they've told the people that they want to be on the practice squad ahead of time, this is the plan. We want you, that you're a priority, all that kind of thing. So it'll be interesting to see which people come on our practice squad. Mathis is going to be on somebody's practice squad. Estime is going to be on somebody's practice squad. And then maybe the other guys get a sniff or whatever, but those are the main ones. I expect Clay Webb and Joaquin Davis to be our priority guys. I think they like those guys. I think they specifically didn't showcase certain ones, and they want them to be on the practice squad. So I would be very surprised if either one of those two guys go to a different practice squad.
Mm-hmm. Mark?
I think Damari Mathis, I'm pretty confident he's going to get signed to a team's roster, I think. I think that there's going to be a lot of guys that want to take chances on a corner that's shown a lot of potential at times. I think he needs a fresh start. I do think Eli's Jets are one of those teams that potentially could look into him with the connections and everything there. But I think Damari, I feel pretty good about him getting onto another team's 53, not even the practice squad. And then just like, I think I agree with what Kodiak said to him in terms of estimate. I don't know if he'll get signed 53, but he'll definitely get practice squad offers, and I don't think he'll take it here, even though it's kind of crazy because, I mean, granted we got, JK and RJ this year, but it's not like we have the best running back room in the entire NFL, right? So you could make the argument that he's still an injury away from becoming activated and playing a big role on this team if he was on the practice squad, but I don't think he does. Otherwise, aside from Damari Mathis, I mean, maybe Andrew Farmer was another one that stuck out to me.
Yeah.
Because I think he put a lot of good tape out there. He might be a second-year guy. He's kind of been around a little bit. He could be someone that potentially could. So that's kind of my initial thoughts.
Yeah. I think that most of these guys, if they're not on our practice squad, they end up on another practice squad out there. But I will piggyback off your prediction, Mark. I think Damari Mathis gets signed somewhere. Very few teams have the luxury of having secondary depth, and that we got. I think Mathis will find his way on a team.
Yeah.
I think Audric, man, well, honestly, I said this earlier today in my stream that I think he might bode well on like the Chargers practice squad or something like that, because Najee Harris is still banged up. I think that Rocket Sanders might be banged up too. So yeah, he's a guy that definitely benefits from a change of scenery. I hope that we don't bring him back, both for our sake and his, because it just doesn't seem like it's a good fit. But I think this would be interesting now to like get into some of the other bubble guys, kind of what y'all think. And feel free to chime in. But Ronnie's bringing up a Wazirike, saying, why haven't we released a Wazirike? He hasn't done anything, and reminds me of Mike Purcell, sadly. Hey, y'all let me know if y'all got a different opinion on this, but I like what we saw out of Wazirike, particularly the last couple games, man. So I think that he makes the roster. I want to say he had a batted pass as well as a few pressures as well. So do you guys think we keep 7 defensive linemen right now? I think, Mark, you had that on your 53 as well.
Yep.
What are the ways in which we're finagling this 53-man roster now moving forward?
Well, that's kind of the whole fun part of it, right? I mean, it's one of those exercises where you're going to get a lot of them wrong, but it's still fun because it's like the puzzle pieces. I think my argument with Wazirike is this, and whether you like it or not, like, is kind of separate from the reality of like how the coaches think, is he's the only defensive lineman that we have that is that large of a person. I think Mile High Mario, or Mario Vitanzi had said it on. It might have been altitude adjustment. I don't know if it was when we did the post game. Either way, he talked about it and he made the point perfectly. The guy's 6'6", 330 pounds. I mean, he is very, very large. We don't have a lineman that has that kind of size, and he can play all across the line of scrimmage. So it's just very beneficial to have someone like him. He can also contribute on like the blocking for the kicking and the punting and all that kind of stuff too, on special teams. So I think he's got a really good chance. I kept Jordan Jackson on there because I just think he's way too damn good he's too good of a depth player to just let go of. And I think he would for sure get claimed. Teams would be stupid to not, because he's really good at that. And so the way that I finangled it was going going 4 safeties, 2 quarterbacks instead of, some people think it's 3. I kind of mixed around like that, but it's not too hard to find the space for it. And that's even with having 6 wide receivers like I had. So if you had 5 wide receivers, it's very easy to find a way to get a 6th. And another thing too is that Savion Jones being on the team, he gives you a little bit of edge versatility as well. He can play some edge. I mean, he played edge in college, even though he's a very big edge. So because he can kind of go between the two, he can be viewed as like a 5th edge player or a 7th defensive lineman.
And we'll go to Kodiak here. What are you doing with defensive line? Are you keeping 6? Are you opening a spot up? I can't believe we've gone 10, 15 minutes without saying this.
Mhm.
A.T. Perry still has not been cut, man. A.T. Perry still has not been cut. We need to talk about him. Frank Crum, as Rodney brought up. Yeah, what are you doing with the last few spots on this roster, Kodiak? Then we'll go to Jeremy.
So if A.T. Perry somehow found a way to make this team after barely playing in training camp and barely playing in the preseason, I would be absolutely floored. I would be absolutely floored if they kept this guy inactive for 12 weeks last year and they were just like, you know what, he's shown us enough in the meeting rooms to the point where we can, give him an NFL roster spot. I'd be like, okay, that's great, but that's not how it works ultimately. But you don't keep 3 quarterbacks, you only keep 5 wide receivers. It gets a lot easier to figure out the trenches. I know a lot of people have us only riding with 4 safeties as well. I think I have us riding with 5, but I'm not entirely sure. I will need to think a little bit more about that. But in regards to Yomo Wazarike or Jordan Jackson, I mean, you guys said, and I think against Buffalo, against like Baltimore last year, I think you could have just tried something different. In the games where we were getting run over, even in the first half against Indianapolis, you just need some size out there, man. For all the great things our D-line has, it does not have a ton of size. So I think in those games against bigger offensive linemen, I think that's where you get your advantage with Wazarike. So I would definitely try to find a way to keep him on this team. I actually, it's nothing against Jackson. I just don't think he's like that special to where I'd be bending over backwards to keep him. But I do think he is one of the best 53 members of the Denver Broncos right now. So I do keep him around. And I try to keep Wazarike too.
Jeremy, A.T. Perry, is PJ Locke safe, as Ronnie Garcia is bringing up? What are your thoughts?
I don't think PJ Locke is safe. I don't think it's like I'm not saying he's absolutely gone or anything, but he's definitely not safe. I'm going to say something really controversial. Bo Nix is going to make this team. No, that's not what it was. It was
Wow.
I think Kroll has a better chance than Prescorn does because I think they're going to keep Prentice, and that's going to knock one of the tight ends maybe off the roster. Now, I think Atkins, when he comes back, goodbye Prentice, and then you have your other tight end as well. But man, I got to give it up to Kroll. He's taking a lot of heat on this podcast, and that catch on the seam that he caught was something. So I think he's done well in the last couple games, and I think he might have just got done enough to edge out Prescorn, and he's got another year. So I wouldn't be surprised by anything, but that's the main one. I'm thinking of like where we were last week compared to where we are this week. I just have a feeling Kroll might be safe.
I think you're right, Jeremy. I mean, Lucas Kroll, I don't think he was bad this past week, and I think that bodes well for him, like making this roster. I would still like to try and find an upgrade, but I think right now I see Caleb Lohner and Prescorn on the practice squad. I think right now it's clear that Kroll, I think, is just one of Sean Payton's guys, like for now. And if he's going to take a leap now, fine. Maybe we were just a year too early with him. Kind of like some of us were expecting some nice things from Troy Franklin last year. I think maybe we were just a year too early on those things. But, Mike's bringing this up. Am I crazy for thinking Savion Jones doesn't get a uniform on game day? I'm thinking I think he should get a uniform on game day.
I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't.
That's what I was thinking too. Early.
Yeah.
Mid-season, I think he will, but.
So a couple points that I wanted to make. So in terms of with Prentice, I totally understand how he could like make sense for being on the team. Having him on the 53 would make 0 sense because you could just practice squat him. He's not going to get picked up.
Elevate him
for at least you get 3 elevations for the first 3 games. By that time, Atkins will be back, and then you just keep him there.
Yeah, I can see that then.
In terms of A.T. Perry, I get it. Like this might bite me in the ass, man, but I'm ready for it. Like Kodiak said, I think him not ever being activated and doing really well in the meetings and showing out in practice and having the relationship with, Pete Carmichael when he was with the Saints and all that is, in Sean Payton's eyes, absolutely enough, because he got a really good idea of all the receivers that we have with the addition of Pat Bryant and then with the additions of the undrafted free agents compared to what we had last year, to where why wouldn't he feel more comfortable going with someone like him who, when he's gotten his opportunities, has played very well and on a terrible offense, showed out in practice. He got injured. I think it was very unfortunate. But I wouldn't be surprised if they're willing to just be like, hey, he's a better sixth receiver, someone to be inactive on game day and activated should we need him, than any of these other very, very unknown guys. I feel like they know a lot more about A.T. Perry than we kind of think that they do, just because we haven't actually seen him. And then in terms of with last year, it was hard to find an opportunity to activate him if you kind of think about it, because it was like these young guys were just starting to find their footing. The team was winning. Why switch things up? And so it was almost like he was a, break glass in case of emergency type of guy. But I mean, listen, I know it's a small sample size. He started 3 games. He's played in 10 in his career, but dude's got 250 yards on 12 catches and 3 touchdowns. Like, that's crazy production against starting offensive, rosters. So he's shown like very, very impressive. And I feel like Sean Payton loves the big receivers. And this might be Sean Payton's new baby, like new little Jordan Humphrey type of baby, along with Nate Atkins, because that's definitely his new boo, in my opinion.
I want A.T. Perry on this roster so bad. I just want it to happen because Mile High Mario is going to be buying us all knockoff A.T. Perry jerseys if he makes the 53. Like, how am I not wearing that every week for a Broncos game?
And I hope he switches to like 17, because I don't want it to be confused with the McCaffrey jersey. I want it to be an authentic, like, this is A.T. Perry, even though Vele wore 17. Maybe he gets like, his own number. But 17 still kind of has you questioning. 87, I feel like, and every time I look at it, I still think it's Eddie Mack. So I'm right there with you, man.
Well, now, I mean, it's not going to take long if A.T. Perry makes this team to be on this team longer than Devon Vele was. So soon enough, he can just have 17 as like his number.
Yeah.
Right?
I think he would technically need like 4 games this season and it'll be even. Okay. Maybe not even, because I don't know what A.T. Perry signed. I think it was like week 1 or week 2. We also didn't we sign him along with the Chargers tight end?
Barham.
Yeah.
Barham. Right. Another thing too to think about is this is a very, like, I feel like the league right now is kind of starved for wide receivers based off of a lot of the news you hear. Right. So like a lot of guys talking about wanting to trade for wide receivers, or they're looking for those extra like depth guys. So there could be a situation where Broncos like keep A.T. Perry, as long as they can. Like, it could be one of those, like, he makes the initial 53, and then once the teams kind of go through, make their claims, and they feel maybe more comfortable that he'll actually clear waivers, they can cut him later, which would be like the funniest tease ever.
That'd be the ultimate
like tomorrow at 2 p.m., A.T. Perry's on the team, and then Wednesday afternoon he's gone. You're like, damn it, man! But he's back on the practice squad. So those kinds of things can and most likely will happen too. I mean, there's always those like transactional moves.
Now, I know Jeremy has given us a few questions to talk about, which we'll definitely get to, but I think that these questions provided by Rodney are pretty
Deshaun
pertinent.
Hamilton.
We should talk with them. So let's get to this one first. All right, guys. Jeremy Crawshaw, not a great start right now in preseason for, I self-proclaimed him the franchise punter, man. I think Zach Seegers tweeted out today that he's like last in the NFL in all the preseason punting like metrics so far. I got to admit, man, when we draft a guy in the 6th round, I just have higher expectation. I'm expecting a starting level punter. We haven't gotten that yet. I don't care how much we hear about him booming awesome 5+ second hang time punts in practice. I want to see it in the game. So, yeah, Ronnie's bringing this up. Should we pick a punter off waivers? We're going to start with Jeremy. Then we'll go Kodiak. We'll finish with Mark.
I'd love to give you a straight answer, Rodney, but I don't know if we should or shouldn't, but we're not going to, in my opinion. I think Darren Rizzi has proclaim this as my guy. They invested a 6th-round pick, and they've seen enough in practice. I honestly think it's just like the stage and like the nerves, and you just got to give him time. Hopefully, he's not going to be doing a lot of punting the whole season because the offense is going to be doing well. But I just think he needs a little seasoning. Like, you got to remember, he's not from this country. He did play at college, but it's not like he grew up doing it for years and years and years. So I think they're going to at least, I mean, he would have to, in my opinion, we said this on join the David Talks Broncos Discord because we were talking about this earlier, but like, in my opinion, he's going to have to suck for at least half the season before they cut him, before they move on. I know what you're saying. It doesn't look good and it's frustrating, but I just, remember Brett Kern is all I have to say. Brett Kern, we got him. He was shaky early, and then all of a sudden, Josh McDaniels comes in, sends him packing, and he becomes the best punter in the NFL for the Titans for years. So you just got to give these guys a little time.
He was booming 50-yard punts, though, regularly. Josh McDaniels was like, well, he's just out kicking the coverage. I think that's what he said. Idiot. Get faster gunners.
But I'm just saying, like, the inconsistency, it's not a matter. Like, I was always frustrated that we didn't have a guy who could at least boom a punt. That was always our thing. It's like, hey, let's get the weakest leg punter in the league. And, like, yeah, it would work out sometimes because you down him and all that. But, like, I just think he's a smart guy. He's really, really, like, technically sound for the most part. But I just think it's nerves right now. So, just, I'd give it a little time. It's just been preseason. It's been punt. Like, you got just think about how being a punter is. It's like a golf swing. But imagine, like, a golfer can hit his way out of it after, a little bit, after a couple holes, where a punter is like,
That's not true.
You get 2 chances. Well, yeah, not us, but I'm saying like good people. But like, he's out there and he's like, he might shank the first one or, whatever. And then it's like, okay, don't shank this one. Don't shank this. You might have 2 chances. So like, you just got to, in practice, we've heard it's been like 6 good punts, 1 bad punt. And then in the games, it's been more bad than good, right?
6 bad punts.
1 really long one that got down, so the net wasn't good, but at least he boomed it. So I'll give him that one.
Well,
Kodiak?
When I was tracking for my post-game Saints thoughts, I had 1 in good, I had 2 in meh, and 3 in absolute trash. So I guess that's my analysis of the situation. Regardless, man, for a team with Super Bowl aspirations, I'm just telling you right now, not good enough so far. And you cannot waste the first 2 weeks, even 2 weeks of this year. When you have the Tennessee Titans and the Indianapolis Colts, you cannot, have this be a let this guy figure it out sort of situation, in my honest opinion. Okay, I know that there's like nerves or whatever, but nothing would be worse than having a Levi Wallace game from a punter, like where everybody's like, everybody knows his name for all the wrong reasons, and everybody still brings him up to this day. Okay, like I think the leash should be very, very short. Because, like I said, this is a team with Super Bowl aspirations. And, yeah, they used a draft pick on him. So I know that he is going to get that. But to go back to Rodney's question or whatever, like, I don't know. Like, should we bring one in? I think so. Like, I don't think bringing one in signals the death of Crawshaw or anything like that. But there are nuances to the college punting game, or nuanced differences. Like, for example, in the NFL, only the gunners can release immediately. Everybody else has to wait until the ball's kicked. Pro-style punt formations. What else? Pressure, consistency, and, all that. And also in college, the hash marks are wider, so directional punting is a little bit easier. But either way, I think we should. Like, if it were up to me, I would bring one in because you cannot waste any game this year. You cannot waste any field position this year. So I would bring one in, but going back to what Jeremy says, I don't think it's going to happen regardless of who's out there.
Mark?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to lie, guys. I'm like 0% concerned about a punter. I think worrying about a punter is asinine. He's going to be just fine. I guarantee you, one thing I can guarantee you is we are most likely not going to be speaking about Jeremy Crawshaw after week 1. I think he's going to be fine. You don't know what Rizzy was telling him or asking him to do, switching things up. It's the preseason. Darren Rizzi is arguably the best special teams coach or one of the best special teams coaches. He's extremely anal about the smallest little things. So if he believes in Crawshaw, I'm good with it. Should we bring one in? If we're going to bring one in, he's only going to go onto the practice squad, if anything. But I don't think we're going to. I don't think we necessarily should quite yet. Because if it is a confidence thing, which I don't really believe that it is, but if it's a confidence thing, that might be like the worst thing to do for somebody's confidence, you know? And as you guys said, punters figured it out. Brett Kern figured it out. Corliss Waitman was awful when he was here. He's now he's been the starting punter for a while now in Pittsburgh. So I'm not worried about it at all. I think he's going to be a stud. And I'm telling you, his first punt, which I hope he gets 0 punts against Tennessee, but his first punt's going to be a banger. Okay. We're going to be back on the franchise punter train. But let me say one more thing. Drafting a punter, as I said when we drafted him, is the stupidest thing that you can do. Any franchise. A punter. A kicker, no problem. A kicker, I have no problem. A kicker is a lot more valuable than a punter. But wasting a draft pick on a punter, unless you had 4 7th-round picks, is absolutely insane dumb. Because he's got to be off the chain to justify it. Otherwise, you're always going to be comparing, we could have taken this guy, we could have taken that guy. Like I've been talking about with Kyle Monangai, right? So it's unfortunate for him, but it's part of the reason, man. He's got to be really good because it's just how it is when you're a draft pick.
Yeah, and another thing I have to say is it just based on his performance so far, it looks absolutely, it's bewildering to me that we used a draft pick on this guy just based on what we've seen so far.
Yeah. Guys, Jonathan Cooper was drafted later than Jeremy Crawshaw was. He was a 7th rounder, So it's always better to take chances on guys that play skill position players, when you're drafting, and then just get the guys undrafted. So that's my thoughts.
The thing that makes me the most upset real quick is Matt Ariza was available for so long after he got cut by the Bills when they were going through all that stuff about did he do something wrong, all that stuff. They found out he wasn't even at the place that they were accusing him of stuff. And we didn't sign him. We could have had him for free. And I think he had an 80-some yard punt. And then we just slept on it. And then now we drafted a guy, spent a 6th-round pick, and it doesn't look good so far. So that's the part that's the most frustrating for me.
Yeah, so I think I'm a little bit in between where Mark's at, and yeah, I guess kind of where you're at too, Kodiak. I want to give him first couple games, right? But if he is, and again, I'm not going to hold the highest bar to him, but if he is the worst punter in the NFL the first couple weeks in, I think you are signing somebody to the practice squad, man.
Yeah, at that point. Yeah.
After that. So it's something where I do want to see him figure it out. Again, he was a great punter in the SEC. So yeah. I think he's had good competition. He's been in crazy environments. Let's hope he figures it out. But yeah, special teams got to be special. They can't cost us games this year. I feel great about our kicking game where we're at with Will Lutz, but yeah, he's going to get the luxury of having a little bit longer of a leash because he is a 6th-round pick. And again, I really want it to work, but a team with Super Bowl aspirations, we cannot be last in the NFL with our punting quality. There is no way that that's acceptable. But thankfully, Darren Rizzi, as questionable as this whole thing looks right now, he does have a fantastic track record. But, man, I'm kind of wondering now, Audric getting cut. We got Loner probably getting cut. I would assume we'll have to see. Jeremy Crawshaw's not good. Man, are these George Payton or Sean Payton picks, man? I have no idea.
I mean, Loner, I never thought he was going to make the 53. Now, there's some people in the comments after each one of our horsepowers where they are Loner stands. They are all about Loner. He's making it. You guys are crazy. It's like, all right, well, I'm just going off what I see. I think he needs a year, maybe 2 years. Raw is, if you looked up Raw in the dictionary, it's a picture of Caleb Loner. So I just think he needs time, and he obviously has the size and athleticism. It's just he's not there yet. I'm way more confident in the punting situation, but that's just because, like Mark said, I trust Darren Rizzi has forgotten more football than I'll know. So like I'm just if he's confident in him, then I'm confident. But if he decides to cut him tomorrow and pick up somebody else, then okay, then he knew something else. So I'm not worried about it. He's going to figure it out one way or the other. I don't think he's going to be like, yeah, we're fine being the worst punting team in the NFL for a season. There's just not going to happen.
Mm-mm.
And I want to clarify what Richie is saying in the chat because that had me laughing. So I never said that I'm quitting football if Crawshaw fails. I said the day that I worry about a punter, like I have a punter, taking up like headspace in my mind when it comes to the Broncos, is the day that I will quit watching football. So it's not, if Crawshaw sucks, then it's like, dude, just cut him and sign another guy. Who cares? That's what I meant by it, but that was funny.
It was very funny. Now, there was one other thing I want to get to. There are a few other players that we're going to talk about. We got to talk about Ben Powers, Devin Key, a few of these other guys. But Josh chiming in. Appreciate it as always. Said, shaking my head for guys like Audric Estime. Should have made the team, honestly, though. How can he do good when he's rushing behind the 2s and 3s? Didn't do him any favors. I just don't think that that's personally fair because we saw Blake Watson, Tyler Bidet, Jaleel McLaughlin all significantly outperform him with second and third string offensive linemen, man. Like and I do want to give Sean Payton and George Payton credit. Like it's just clear it wasn't working out. And sometimes in the past we've seen our team hold on to players way too long when it's clear they're just not good fits, Paxton Lynch, for instance, right? I think it's best for Audric to go somewhere else, man. And again, Blake Watson, first game, I think he averaged over 7 yards a carry. He was behind that same offensive line, led the team in rushing in that first game, man. So I just don't know if that's totally fair. But I do think your point here about Crawshaw is fair. It does take time with young players. And I'm not expecting him to be an all-pro overnight, but I do want him to feel like a starter when he's out there making punts. I don't think we've really seen it yet, but apparently they've seen it a lot in practice. So, yeah. Guys, any other thoughts on Crawshaw or Audric? Should we get to the next player?
The thing with Audric Estime, he didn't make the team. That was his best game, obviously, by far. He had good numbers. He broke tackles. He ran hard. He didn't have any fumbles. The reason why he didn't make this football team is because every single time they handed the ball off to him, he didn't have a burst. That was it. Like, he looked significantly slower than every other running back on our team. And that's just not going to work. And it might work in a preseason game against the threes, but like, it just didn't look like a guy who you're like, oh, we got to keep this guy on the field. It just doesn't. I'll watch another team, when we're playing the Saints. There was a guy, I think Cubby or whatever. He made a catch and then he made a move, and I go, "Whoa, where's that guy?" I didn't have one of those moments from Audric Estime at all. I'm like, "Oh, good, he lowered his shoulder. Oh, good, he ran through a tackle or whatever." But wasn't like, "Oh my gosh, look at that bird!" like ever. So that's why he didn't make the team.
Mm-hmm. Let's talk about a few of these other guys, man, and maybe we bring up, the 53 projection. Maybe that would be kind of fun to do and to talk through. Give me 1 second. Boom. All right. Maybe that will look good. Go Broncos, says Brian. Absolutely.
Yes, sir.
All right. So here's where things get interesting. I know that a few of y'all in the comments have asked about Devin Key. Guys, feel free to chime in. It's hard for me to see what the Broncos see in Devin Key right now. I just don't get it. And I honestly have no idea what to do with this safety room after the starters. I did include, in this option 3, kind of a lot of the guys that we've talked about. Probably the most significant thing here is keeping both Owazurike or Jackson. But let's say things go in Mark's favor, where we actually keep A.T. Perry or somebody as that 6th wide receiver, Courtney Jackson. I'm hoping it's A.T. Perry. Maybe you're getting rid of Jordan Jackson, or maybe you're going with 4 safeties instead of 5. But yeah, let's start with the safety room. What do you guys think is going to be the room? Who do you think gets cut? Kodiak, let's start with you.
I think all 5 of these guys make it. Like, I do have all 5 of these guys on here. I don't think he sticks around. The reason I don't think he sticks around is just because I don't think he adds anything to this team. Like, and you could say anything you want about PJ Locke, but the fact that PJ Locke last year, I was missing him a lot when we saw Key in the lineup, and Key plays on like those goal line packages or whatever. So the team really, really likes him. But I think he's one of those guys. Hopefully he's one of those guys that the team is just like, all right, we just gotta be pragmatic. We got to be objective in this situation. I think Franklin and Skinner both stick around because of their special teams ability. And I think PJ Locke does stick around, especially because now he is, being able to deploy it in what should be his actual role. He should have never been the starter last year, but that's not on him. That's on the team for not finding a viable replacement. But they did this offseason. But I do think Locke sticks around. Like, even though we could save a lot by releasing him, I do think, there is merit to him being the third longest tenured player on this team. He just always seems to find his way onto this team. So, yeah.
Mark, what are you thinking, man?
I currently have Brandon Jones, Hufanga, Sam Franklin, and Skinner. I don't have PJ Locke on it. I would love for them to keep it. If it was up to me, I think he's a very valuable backup. I just don't think they're going to. Mainly because, first of all, there's just other positions I feel like they want to maybe carry an extra guy. You can save $4 million by PJ Locke. So this could be one of those situations where they approach him with like a reduced contract. He could say yes and stay on the team. He can say no and they cut him. He's a very viable trade candidate as well. Again, I'm not advocating for that. Like, I think he has a lot of value, but I can see a lot of reasons why he wouldn't make it. And yeah, I don't think he makes the team either. I think with him, it was one of those, they kind of liked his special teams ability last year. They like that he can come in and be like a dime backer in the red zone. But with Hufanga there now, with Sam Franklin able to play safety and being a very good special teamer, JL Skinner being a very good special teamer, there's just no room for him. It doesn't make any sense. And I just don't think he's very good. So I had it as 4. Wouldn't be surprised if Locke stuck around. In fact, I'd be totally cool with that.
Jeremy, what are you doing?
I honestly don't know what they're going to do at safety. I don't know.
But what are you doing?
Oh, what am I doing? I really want Locke to make the team personally, just because what he went through, and that's what I'm rooting for. But what do I never go, oh, this is my thing. I'm always trying to figure out what the team's going to do, and I just don't know. To me, it's if he's healthy, he should make the team. Now, I know if they move on from him, I think they save like $3.5 million or $4 million or something. So that might be factored into it as well. But yeah, that might be, like Mark said, that might be one of those positions where they just get lean. But like I said in the previous weeks, like that, the 2 starters, Brandon Jones and Hufanga, have dealt with injuries. So it's gambling if you go skinny at that position. So I'm curious. I know how David and Mark feel about wide receiver 6. How do you feel, Kodiak? Would you pick A.T. Perry? Would you pick Courtney Jackson, or go with 5?
Man, after watching Courtney Jackson, I'm just like, man, I don't know if there's going to be a way for him to be snuck onto the practice squad, because the dude clearly has a lot of ability, once he gets the ball in his hands. The problem with that, though, is we already have a guy who's one of the best in the league, I would argue, with the ball in his hands in the very same position group with Marvin Mims. So I don't really know if there's a place for him on this team. As of right now, I would run with 5. But if I was to pick an extra guy, it would be it'd be Courtney Jackson. Although I don't want to see him as a kick returner again. But I like seeing him on offense.
What? You don't want to see him return kicks?
Dude, some of the vision he displayed, I was just like, nah.
Yeah, I thought he was terrible, honestly. Yeah.
But
and then Tyler Bidet gets one opportunity, takes it 47 yards. You're like, oh, that's how it's supposed to be done.
Because he's got the best vision on the team. So
I didn't think some people were really pumped about Courtney Jackson. I didn't think he did anything good.
He made one catch that was impressive. I remember there was one throw that I was like, oh, okay, Courtney Jackson. Yeah. Courtney Jackson's only 5'11", and that is not typically a Sean Payton type of guy, but I mean, I don't know. You listen to certain people, listen to Cecil, he's just like, there's no way You absolutely have to have him on the team. And then you got other people, and you're like, oh, he's 5'11", he's not that good. But he returned 4 kicks in college to the house, so like that's not nothing. And he obviously has been. I mean, he showed he can catch. I don't know. It's going to be interesting. I that's the one I'm keeping my eye on because I know like there's people that love A.T. Perry. It's hard to pick a guy for the 53 that just hasn't been around forever. Like, you know what I mean? Just the whole offseason, you've seen everybody else be making plays, and then be like, "Thanks guys for all your hard work. We're gonna pick the guy who's been over here in the tub for the last 3 months." So that's just I wouldn't be surprised because it could be a Sean Payton special, but that's just the one I'm keeping my eye on the most. And then, is it going to be Prescorn or Kroll? So those are the two that I really am circling.
Dude, I would love it if Prescorn made it over Kroll, man.
I would be fine with that. I just think it's going to be Kroll for whatever reason. I honestly do. I think that catch showed a lot of maturity. He doesn't make that catch last year. I just don't. I just don't see that.
Ronnie's asking, what's the Sherfield's role on special teams? I mean, how many gunners we have out on a punt, and then all those guys, Skinner, Franklin, Perry, all those guys will be on kickoff return or kickoff coverage.
Yep. Yeah, he does everything. Sherfield's like the ace of the special teams. He's a 4-phaser. He does it all. So
that's another guy. Remember how I was telling you guys in the offseason, there's always people with weird names that I always feel like is also explaining who they are. There is a term for it, and I always forget it. But Sherfield is like the perfect term for him because he just does everything well, and he's not a superstar, but like you're glad he's on your team. So Trent Sherfield.
Yeah, I'm here with Respect My Codes, man. If Troutman goes down, man, I don't know if we have anybody that's ready to step up and perform right away. So, but yeah, Rodney, we're definitely cutting Keydron Smith. We're definitely cutting DTY. I hope we cut Devin Key. Again, that's the biggest thing to pay attention to is if we keep 5 safeties or not. If we keep 6 or 7 defensive linemen, I think is interesting. Do you guys think that Lavelle Bailey's a lock for the roster? Do you guys see somebody like Karene Reed or Jordan Turner challenging for 53 right now? Anybody feel free to chime in.
Oh,
that's tough. That's really tough.
I will say with Delarian Turner-Yell, I think he's one of those other guys that'll get claimed on a 53 as well.
Really?
Yeah, for special teams. From what you hear about him, he's like one of the best special teams players. So just don't put him in on defense for what it's worth. So he could be. I think Bailey's a lock. And I pondered a lot with Turner and or like Karene Reed. I just don't think so. I don't think the numbers are there. And I think that both of them will be available to be put on the practice squad. And they should. And we have a big advantage. Like another piece of this puzzle. This is what makes it fun. Is players would really be fine sticking on the practice squad if you're a linebacker here because we're pretty thin after the top 2. Mm-hmm. So you think, man, we got a really good opportunity. Whereas like if you're a corner, if you're like the third corner, like if there's 3 corners on the practice squad, you're like, yeah, I'm going to go somewhere else, So I think that's a part of it. I think those 4 are good.
Richie's bringing this up, and I'm always forgetting. I think we do have a couple guys that could play a safety role from the cornerback room too, right? If it's a dire emergency.
Oh yeah. I think Riley Moss can. I think Jade Barron can for sure. So yeah.
Yeah. I would like to only go with 4 safeties. That's just me. We'll see if the Broncos feel the same. Now we did have a new viewer. Want to say hello to Braxton Jett. He's watching on one of our streams.
What's up, man?
Are we feeling another Judy situation with Bryant? I joined late, but glad I found this. Well, thank you. Thank you for tuning in. Every Monday at 8 p.m. Mountain Time is the Horsepower Hour. And then we also got our own channels where, we post our own videos throughout the week. But another Judy situation. Are we talking about him being good? Or...
Yeah, explain.
Yeah, him being bad.
And hopefully this is the last time we ever mention Pat Bryant with Jerry Jeudy. Because I hated Jerry Jeudy. And I love me some Pat Bryant. But yeah, just some clarification there.
I don't think Pat Bryant and Jerry Jeudy are similar at all. I think they don't play the same style. I don't think they have totally different personalities. I think Bryant, just in that one block that he made for Evan Ingram, where he blocked a guy 30 yards out of bounds, like that. Jerry Jeudy could live 100 lives and that would never happen.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like, yeah, I love Pat Bryant, and he didn't have the greatest game this last week, which is fine. You know, like everybody freaks out over like a rookie like not being 100%, but you know what? He still made a really good slant catch that was clutch as well. So I'm excited. I honestly think Devon Vele is a New Orleans Saint because Pat Bryant is too good to keep off the field.
Yeah. Okay, so now he's saying I can agree with that. I just feel we might let go of him too early. I don't know. We used a 3rd round pick on him.
We're not letting go of him.
We'll see what the wide receiver room looks like in 2 years, but I think Jerry Jeudy, he was never traded for his talent. I think he was more so traded for the inconsistencies upstairs, and I just don't see Pat Bryant having those inconsistencies.
No, this team loves Pat Bryant, and Pat Bryant is unselfish. He has the right makeup, like that. There's nothing similar, I don't think. Now you could say that did we let go of somebody too early? It wouldn't be Pat Bryant. It would be Devon Vele. A week ago I'm saying we're not getting rid of Devon Vele, and then they get rid of Devon Vele. Now, also I didn't think they were going to get a 4th rounder for him. So like that's all. Like if you would have told me that, and a 7, you can get 2 draft picks for Devon Vele, and one of them is a 4th, and it's probably might be one of the first picks in the 4th round. That's hard to pass up for a guy who you might be inactive a lot of this season. So, but that's the only guy who we might have got away from too early. But yeah, no, Pat Bryant's here to stay.
I did want to hit on this too. Respect My Codes is saying I think Jordan Turner or Courtney Jackson are guys you keep on the initial roster to be a placeholder. I would find that interesting because I think both of those guys definitely need to be priority keeps on the practice squad. It wouldn't totally surprise me if Courtney Jackson made the 53.
Oh no,
it wouldn't, but I would prefer other guys too. So that's going to be interesting to take a look at, man. And Frank Crum, again, we mentioned him at the beginning of the show. He's still on the roster, man. We'll have to see where all this ends up. But the one guy we haven't talked about yet, Jeremy, that you brought up before the show was Ben Powers. Are you guys worried about him? Is Calvin Throckmorton going to be that guard to make the team behind him? How worried are you about this outside zone stuff and his fit in it? We'll start with Mark and work our way around.
Worried about Ben Powers, yes. Worried about Jeremy Crawshaw, no. This is a legitimate worry. And the frustrating thing about this one is you can't really do anything about it. He's going to be on the team. He's getting paid a lot of money. You just have to hope that Zach Strief can get it right. But it is very concerning. I'm actually really concerned about this run game in general. Because as much as you have optimism, yes, you've got different guys than you had last year. It hasn't proven anything. So, and the run game is going to be a huge key piece into the success that this team has. So I am worried about Ben Powers. I've been worried about Luke Wattenberg for a while now, but I'm hoping at least with Luke, you feel like there's still growth there. With Ben Powers, it's like, what is it? And on top of that, you don't really have somebody like behind him where you can just be like, oh, he's got a short leash, and if he's not good,
that was Gargiulo.
It was Gargiulo. That was at least intriguing. Now I think that's the main reason why I think the Broncos will make a waiver claim for an interior lineman if there is one. But yeah, that's kind of my thoughts on that. I definitely have concerns about Ben Powers.
Jeremy?
Yeah, I'm totally concerned. And it's getting, they said, oh, well, Zach Strief tells the guys to try stuff in the preseason. It's like, try blocking, Ben.
Yeah.
Like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
Like, how many times is this going to happen, dude? Like, you got paid a lot of money. So I'm definitely worried. I don't know what's going on. I mean, that's the thing. It's like the first thing Sean did when he came here was make the offensive line the priority. that's the basis for your entire like offense. And I get that we're switching to an outside zone and that's not necessarily his strong suit, but like you got to be a little better than this, man. Like, come on. So I'm hoping that it's taking time, but hope is not a plan. So I'm worried, and you can't cut him because he's making too much. Like the dead cap number would be crazy. Now
You
next
could
year,
if you wanted to.
well, I mean, you could like we did
if you
it.
just want to get it out of the way before next year. Like,
yeah, right. But like, I don't think they're going to cut him. I don't think it's like, oh, having him on this team. I don't think like the. I mean, you'd probably rather keep him and then, bench him and have him as your reserve than just cutting him. So, yeah, I'm worried, but maybe they just need some more time to gel. I'm worried about actually one of the other questions. I'm starting to get slightly concerned about this defense. I've been told this defense is going to be elite, number one defense, and they go out and Spencer Rattler looks good. Mac Jones looks good. I'm like, what is happening right now? Like this, this shouldn't be happening. So there's a couple things I'm just kind of like, I know we're being told a million times that how great this team is going to be, but can we see it? So
Kodiak.
I mean, yeah, I'm as concerned about Powers as you guys, but I'm going to go to bat for him in this segment rather than, relay all the concerns. So with our offensive line last year, we had 2 really, really bad weeks to start the year, like disastrous, like borderline Quinn Miners apologetically bad in post-game interview level against Seattle and Pittsburgh last year. But then we saw a very, very good offensive line for the next, 14, 15 weeks, barring a few instances. But yeah, overall, the reason I think everything will work itself out is because, offensive line is a notoriously hard position, to practice nowadays, especially because the CBA limits your number of padded practices. Now, granted, would I have preferred that he goes up against the New Orleans Saints and doesn't get shredded by a bunch of dudes who are on a really bad team, on a decent defensive line, but on a really bad team? Absolutely not. But at the same time, like, I get it. Preseason is not really indicative of that much, but yes, seeing him play this poorly and Wattenberg, to be quite frank, it does signal cause for concern, and we'll see what happens with the zone. But one thing we have to remember is that Sean Payton is one of the GOAT head coaches at adjusting midway through the year. Man, if he can get our defense from 2 years ago to go from allowing 70 to, tuning it up and being a strength to the team in the later part of the year, I have no qualms about what he could do for a left guard. And I think he'll switch things up if things are really, really that bad. But ultimately, he's an offensive line savant. Like, I think that's something that goes very underlooked, is that he has always had a tendency to have very strong play from his offensive lines. And yeah, overall, I'm not concerned about our defense either because, I think they were just keeping things very soft. I think we're going to throw a lot of shit at Cam Ward in week 1, and we're going to be like, oh, okay, that's what we've been waiting for.
Yeah, I'll piggyback on that, Kodiak. I'm not very concerned about the defense. They show that they were fantastic last year. We're going up against a rookie quarterback in Daniel Jones the first 2 weeks. I think we'll have good showings. But, yeah, in terms of who am I more concerned about, Ben Powers or like Jeremy Crawshaw? Right now, I'm more concerned about Jeremy Crawshaw than I am Ben Powers. Even though Ben Powers, I think he's probably the weak link on the line right now. I've been a Wattenberg believer, but that's not to say that I think Alex Forsyth and him are, it's a tough decision. I think in some respect with those two guys and who you're putting out there. But I think sometimes we see Sean Payton do this at the beginning of seasons where he'll try some different things. The offense isn't totally flowing as anticipated, and then he makes some adjustments kind of after like game 4, game 5. I mean, remember how different that offense was the first few weeks with Russell Wilson and then what the offense looked like at the end of the year. I think that, again, they're trying to incorporate more of this outside zone. I doubt that Sean Payton and company, they go fully outside zone with this. Like, you got to do some stuff that's going to play towards Ben Powers' strengths. So, especially because, yeah, we got Calvin Throckmorton behind him. That's nice. But Again, I don't know if I'm exactly keeping a short leash on Ben Powers for Calvin Throckmorton.
It would have to be really bad, like really bad.
Yeah. So, yeah, I'm about as worried about the defense as I am about Bo Nix having like one touchdown throw in preseason.
Yep.
Yeah,
God forbid.
I ain't worried.
Yeah.
If it wasn't for that last drive, I was a little surprised they kept Nix in for that third series. But if they didn't keep him in, you think people would be like, what's happening? Like, how bad is it looking? And Sutton wasn't helping early, and then all of a sudden they got hot and made a couple amazing plays. But that just shows you what preseason is. It's just like you're panicked, and then you're like, never mind, everything's fine, instantly. So it was just interesting because I was like, what is happening right now? Like, why we can't run the ball? And that was the other thing. Like last year, they were like, according to PFF, we're like the #1 run blocking team ever. And then but we're averaging like 1 yard a carry. And so then it's like, well, it's Javante's fault. And then now it's like, struggle again. So it's going to be interesting to see. I don't panic about it, but it is something to watch.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, going off of that, I thought it was crazy how last year everybody, yes, the trash running back room from last year deserved the lion's share of the blame for how bad things were on the ground. But at the end of the day, man, it's not just one person or there's a lot of really big moving parts to the run game and why it was so bad last year. And ultimately, I think it will get tuned up by the time the regular season begins. One thing to note, we didn't see Dobbins at all, hardly this preseason.
No.
And another thing to note is that, I felt like one of the biggest reasons why our run game was so trash last year was because defenses did not have to respect us passing over the middle of the field, especially in the intermediate area. Overall defenses didn't have to respect that area of the game. And I felt like for a large part of the year, we were watching diet Russell Wilson football. That's not to say that we were totally limited in what we could do offensively, but it felt like it was either a short pass, a screen, or a deep shot. And, when defenses don't have to respect a certain area of the field, that's when they can run commit. And, Javonte Williams was terrible last year, but it's not necessarily all the running back's faults. I do think this line, while very, very good last year, it's built to pass protect. And I don't think I've seen anything that tells me otherwise. But yeah, that's just where I'm at with the run game.
Wonderfully said, man. Yeah, it's going to be fun, man, to see how things go against the Titans. I got high expectations, man. We should win this game, especially with it being Cam Ward's debut. We saw how clunky Bo Nix's first start was in Seattle week 1, and I'm going to be expecting some of those same things. Hopefully we're not giving up any safeties, though, right? That can't be a thing. Guys, thank you so much for joining. Thanks to everybody in the chat. Guys, guess what? This has been the highest viewed live of Horsepower Hour in our existence so far. We've had consistently over 250 combined viewers. So this is fantastic. Y'all, please go subscribe to everybody's channel. In my video, they're all linked. But we can go around and tell everybody what we got going on our channels this week and then wrap things up. Let us know any other random thoughts you might have. But we'll start with Kodiak. Congratulations on 1K.
1K, baby.
This weekend. Let's go.
Yeah, I just got to give a huge mile high salute, mainly to the 3 guys that join me on this panel every single Monday night, especially for giving me their platforms early on. That being said, I got to give a huge mile high salute to all of you in Broncos country, whether you're watching on David's channel, Mark's channel, my channel, David's Twitter, Mark's Twitter, Pornhub, wherever you're watching us. I don't know.
Wow.
I don't know where we're streaming. Regardless. So what I got coming up, all my energy is now focused on Tennessee. I'm going to be watching a lot of Tennessee. I'm going to be watching Cam Ward's, every drop back he took this preseason. Because I've said it since May. I've said I'm looking towards the Titans. So that's just what we got to be focused on. And yeah, overall, we only got, I think, 13 more days until we absolutely beat the daylights out of Cam Ward. So yeah. So shout out Respect My Co's and shout out to Josh. Thank you for all your congratulations in the chat. Shout out T Fishes and shout out Rodney. Shout out everybody who has supported me throughout this. And yeah, we're just getting started. So if you are not subscribed to my channel already, go ahead and do so. We're going to have a great year talking Broncos.
Fantastic. Jeremy, got anything going on Broncos Unbridled yet?
Yeah, man. Like, I think Mark had a good idea. I think we should plan to do like the post-game reacts that's those are always the most dangerous ones, because you're either going to be like, oh, everything's the best in the world, or it's like, I'm going to kill somebody. Like, what did you do? There's no.
I went back and watched a few. You got to do it. Do yourself a favor and go do them. It's so funny,
dude. It's so. I'm like so emotional in the moment, and then the next day I'm like, oh, I have like all this objectivity and like I've had a chance to, but in the moment you're like, watch out. Yeah.
Especially after the Bengals game last year.
Yeah. Oh, dude. Oh, yeah.
It was like two grown men crying on live.
Oh, bro.
It was awesome.
That game, yeah. And it's, it just shows you like the passion. That's what we're all here for, Like, we're watching other people like move a ball around a field, you know what I mean? But it's like so awesome to do. So, yeah, I'm excited to do that. I'm just pumped, man. That like we're finally here. School's back, the weather's getting cool, and it's football season finally after this long waiting. So, yeah, no, I'm just so thrilled.
Mm-hmm. Mark, what's coming up on your channel this week?
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited to find out the 53-man roster tomorrow at 2 p.m. We'll know it, so we'll break that down. I'm gonna talk about the Titans a whole lot, that's for sure. So I'm gonna be right there on the Kodiak with Kodiak, just diving into the Titans, and I'll probably have a very dedicated video to all of the number changes on the team. Y'all know how I feel about numbers. I love it. It's a weird thing, but can't wait to break down who's got what number, how it's going to look. And then, yeah, man, it's crazy. It's crazy that the, football season's here every single year. But I love it. It's always a great time, because I always know when my birthday is about to hit, football season is very, very close. So it's always a fun time, but I'm looking forward to week 1, man. So that's what I got.
Me too, man. I can't wait. I'll be doing some videos on the 53, probably some film reviews on some of the bubble guys who made it, because I just like doing that stuff. And then I'll get into some of the season predictions. We'll see how right they were. But actually, going and looking at my Bo Nix predictions, I don't think they were too crazy last year. I think I had him at over 30 total touchdowns, which is what he had, right? Didn't he have like 34 or something?
34.
Yeah.
29 and 5, yeah.
Yeah, something like that. So I'll have some predictions, hot takes out there, which will be great. And of course, looking forward to the Titans. Also, I got Lucifer Boys with Strez of Broncos Hub on Thursday nights. So we'll be talking about 53 and season preview on Thursday nights at 8 p.m. Central, I think. So y'all tune in for that. But again, guys, thank you so much. You guys make this fun. And be sure to hit that bell for notifications so you know when we drop. As always, go Broncos.
Go Broncos. Thanks, guys.
God bless Bo Nix. That's sacrifice. He's grabbed and he's going to be sacked.